So shared mobility is having a transformative effect on cities across the globe, including Latin America, places and cities in Brazil, for example. And shared mobility in the form of things like car sharing can take cars off the road, dramatically reduce vehicle kilometers traveled, and greenhouse gas emissions. So shared mobility comes in many different forms: car sharing, bike sharing, on-demand ride services, courier network services. And there's a long history and literature, particularly in the area of car sharing, that shows that round-trip car sharing can take up to 30% reduction in vehicle miles traveled, and approximately about the same in terms of greenhouse gas emission reductions. So car sharing and bike sharing can both complement and compete with public transit. It's not necessarily a uniform effect. What we found in our bike sharing research is that cities that have dense public networks of public transportation might have more competition and provide the ability to peak shave. Areas in more suburban locations can act as a feeder service and ultimately increase the use of public transport. So what we've learned is cities matter, and the density of cities matter. So shared mobility takes many different forms and has the ability to serve gaps in the transportation network, providing additional capacity to peak transport lines, but also to provide services where we don't have the funding or the services currently operating by different times of day and in different spatial environments. So car sharing has the ability to increase people's travel, as do almost anything. So what we have to do is look at creating a network of choices so people reduce their reliance on any one particular mode and perhaps take the right mode for the right trip. And we do see in many cases people who join car sharing organizations sell a car or postpone a car purchase, and they make a lot more trips on public transport or walking or carpooling. So what we need to do is focus on creating that network of choices and opportunities to rely on many different forms of transportation. So looking to the future, cities can embrace the idea of public-private partnerships, create access to rights of way, and encourage the private sector to help fill gaps in the transportation network. In 10 or 20 years, this sector of shared mobility is going to look even more different than it does today. And it's most likely going to have different forms of automation, different levels of automation, as well as electrification. So there is the promise and the potential for people to become less auto-dependent as a result of these systems.